The crystalline trees of Verdonia 7 shimmered under twin suns as Oliver stepped through the atmospheric barrier. His boots crunched against the bioluminescent moss, each step releasing soft purple spores into the air. He'd been traveling alone for 3 months since his research vessel crashed on this uncharted planet, surviving on ration packs and determination. Oliver didn't know was that he was being watched. Through the translucent foliage, 200 pairs of eyes observed him with a mixture of fear and fascination. The Verdani had never seen anything like him. Their entire civilization, spanning 12,000 years, had evolved without a single male among them. They reproduced through a complex form of parthenogenesis, where genetic material merged from 2 females during their sacred bonding ceremonies. Eva stood at the front of the gathering, her iridescent skin reflecting shades of deep emerald. As the lead observer of the Western Forest Territory, it was her duty to assess any potential threats to her people. But this creature that walked upright, with its strange angular features and unusual proportions, confused every instinct she possessed. "What manner of being is this?" whispered Lyra, Ava's second in command, her antennae quivering with nervous energy. "I don't know," Eva admitted, watching as Oliver knelt to examine a flowering plant. "But look at how it moves. There's purpose in every action. Intelligence." Oliver was oblivious to his audience. He was documenting everything, recording samples, trying to understand this world that had become his involuntary home. The planet was beautiful beyond measure, but the loneliness was crushing. He hadn't heard another voice in months. As he turned to continue his trek through the forest, a branch snapped under his weight. The sound echoed through the silent trees. 200 beings held their breath. Then chaos erupted. A young Verdani, barely past her maturation cycle, panicked and fled. Her movement triggered a chain reaction. Suddenly, the forest came alive with the sound of retreating footsteps and frightened whispers. Oliver spun around, his heart pounding. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone there?" Eva raised her hand, freezing the exodus. Something in the creature's voice, his voice carried a quality she'd never heard before. It was deeper, resonant, but there was vulnerability in it too. Fear, but also hope. "Hold," she commanded her people. "This being seeks communication, not conflict." Slowly, deliberately, Eva stepped out from behind the crystalline trunk. Oliver's eyes widened as he beheld her. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her body covered in scales that shifted colors with her emotions currently, showing cautious curiosity in shades of teal and silver. "Hello," Oliver said softly, raising his hands to show he carried no weapons. "My name is Oliver. I'm human. I'm lost." Eva tilted her head, her translator implant struggling with some of the concepts. The word male existed in her language only in ancient texts about extinct animal species. "You are alone?" she asked in halting Standard Galactic. Oliver's face showed surprise and relief. "You speak Standard?" "Yes, I'm alone. My ship crashed months ago." One by one, the other Verdani began to emerge. Oliver found himself surrounded by beings who stared at him with unabashed wonder. They moved closer, forming a vast circle around him, some brave enough to reach out and touch his jacket, his hair, his equipment. "We have never seen one like you," Eva explained. "In all our history, there are only females in our species. The concept of male, it exists only in our oldest archives, in stories of the universe, before our world." Oliver's scientific mind raced. A completely female species. It made sense evolutionarily, but to meet one was extraordinary. "On my world," he said carefully, "humans have both males and females. We need both to reproduce. I'm a male." A ripple of astonishment passed through the crowd. Whispers in their melodic language filled the air. Eva stepped closer, studying him intently. Your species requires two different forms to create life? That is remarkable. Inefficient, perhaps, but remarkable. Despite his situation, Oliver laughed. I suppose it is inefficient, but it's worked for us so far. Over the following hours, more Verdani arrived, drawn by news of the unprecedented visitor. Oliver found himself the subject of endless questions. What was it like to be male? How did his society function with two genders? Did males think differently? Feel differently? He answered as best he could, finding comfort in conversation after so long alone. Eva remained by his side, translating when needed, protecting him from the more aggressive questioners who wanted to study him. Probe him, understand every aspect of his biology. As the larger sun began to set, Eva made a decision. You cannot survive alone in this forest, she told Oliver, and my people have much to learn from you. Will you come to our city? As our guest, not our prisoner. Oliver looked at the 200 faces surrounding him, each one showing genuine curiosity and, surprisingly, concern for his well-being. For the first time since the crash, he felt something other than despair. I'd be honored, he said, as they began the journey to the Verdani city. Oliver walking beside Eva at the head of an unprecedented procession. He realized that perhaps getting lost on Verdania 7 wasn't the worst thing that could have happened. These people had lived for millennia without ever knowing half the spectrum of existence. And he, lonely and far from home, had found a place where his very presence was a revelation. In the forest where 200 alien women had discovered something they never knew was missing. A human man had found something to purpose, connection, and perhaps the beginning of an extraordinary friendship between species. The stars began to emerge overhead as 3 moons rose above the crystalline canopy, and Oliver smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new questions, and new discoveries. But tonight, for the first time in months, he wouldn't be alone.